The Soviet Union and the United States engaged in a competition known as the space race to see who would advance space exploration first. The two superpowers engaged in a heated rivalry from the late 1950s until the middle of the 1970s over who might conquer space first. The space race, which started with the first satellite launch and ended with a joint expedition between the two superpowers, was a distinctive era in space exploration. To know more about space racers and to know who the space racers are, continue on our channel, Fly Me to the Moon. And also, don't forget to subscribe to it. Hit the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video is posted. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are two of the most prominent. They fight for talent as well as their separate space ambitions. Bezos founded Blue Origin while Musk oversees SpaceX, and Musk has publicly criticized Bezos on a number of occasions. The CEOs of the world have been engaged in a bitter feud for the last 15 years. Elon and Jeff Bezos have been at odds for years about the efficiency of their rocket and space enterprises. Their long-simmering dispute broke out over who would be allowed to use a NASA launch pad and whose company would be the first to land a rocket successfully. The two tycoons, who are among the wealthiest people in the world, are currently involved in one of the most harsh business wars in a generation. These battles are taking place in the courts, the Federal Communications Commission, and the halls of Congress, while pitting two enormous business empires against one another. What started as a conflict among both Bezos' Blue Origin and Musk's SpaceX for a significant NASA agreement to land men on the moon has since expanded to include a race to develop an internet satellite service in space. That battle has been particularly gritty and intimate. In order to transmit internet signals to Earth, SpaceX has been launching a constellation of satellites over the last few years that might number in the thousands. With a project it calls Kuiper that has yet to launch a satellite, Amazon also has a similar strategy. When SpaceX appealed to the FCC to change its plan, Amazon contested the application, claiming the change would be against FCC regulations. SpaceX responded after 6 days. No words were held back. SpaceX, which openly dismissed Amazon's technical skills, charged that the firm was attempting to obstruct SpaceX's operations in order to compensate for its own shortcomings. As it slips behind rivals, Amazon amply displays that it is more than prepared to exploit regulatory and legal processes to create impediments designed to delay those competitors from putting Amazon even further behind, SpaceX claimed in a statement. Since the time of Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller, more than a century ago, American business has been based on ferocious competition between industrial giants. The space industry, which has been glorified by pop culture and nostalgia of the 1960s Apollo era, has recently emerged as one of the most intriguing sectors with the possibility for tremendous growth. At this time, Musk and Bezos are writing a new chapter on this topic. Both Bezos and Musk present their aspirations for space travel as ways to benefit mankind, whether that be establishing colonies in Earth's orbit or by building a metropolis on Mars, as Musk would prefer to do. However, space also presents a major financial potential, according to Margaret O'Mara, a professor at the University of Washington and the author of The History of the Technology Era, The Code, Silicon Valley, and the Remaking of America. Despite their differences, Bezos and Musk have taken similar paths to create their own enterprises. Both have the guts to stand by their convictions, resist skeptics, and blow off short-term losses in favor of long-term rewards. They also have an uncanny capacity to uplift entire industries with their unique technological products. Musk played a key role in PayPal's effort to upend the credit card business and change how Americans pay for products and services. Bezos transformed Amazon into a massive anything store, upending traditional bookstores first before doing the same to the whole retail industry. Additionally, Amazon Web Services altered how businesses store their data. In addition, Musk and Bezos are now connected by a number of projects that may define their respective legacies in the second act of their distinguished careers. Bezos, who has resigned as CEO of Amazon, is still an executive chairman. Musk currently has a significant advantage in almost every area. Musk recently stated on Twitter that his business now serves 14 nations and has shipped 100,000 ground terminals for the system. As part of a $9.2 billion initiative to expand internet access, the FCC announced last year that SpaceX would receive $886 million to assist in serving hundreds of thousands of users in the United States. The internet would be sent to the ground by satellites that Amazon has developed in its own plan to swarm into Earth orbit, but more than one satellite has been launched by it. The FCC license adjustment that SpaceX wants to make and that Amazon is now contesting would add about 30,000 satellites in 2 instances. The new strategy used by SpaceX, which involves applying for 2 mutually exclusive configurations, goes against both Commission regulations and societal norms. That was described by SpaceX as a delay strategy, and it was a continuation of attempts by the Amazon family of enterprises to hamper competitors to make up for Amazon's inability to achieve progress on its own. According to SpaceX, Amazon's harsh response was directed at SpaceX and Musk personally, and it listed a number of offenses that it claimed demonstrated a series of conduct that should have authorities on alert. It was mentioned that SpaceX launched a Starship model without receiving permission from the Federal Aviation Administration, and defied local health regulators by operating its Tesla assembly facility throughout the coronavirus pandemic. Bezos is waging war through Blue Origin over the NASA contract given to SpaceX to build a spacecraft capable of carrying astronauts to and from the moon's surface, in addition to the battle over the constellations of satellites. The Government Accountability Office rejected Blue Origin's claims and upheld NASA's judgment when Blue Origin challenged NASA's decision. Blue Origin later brought legal action in the Court of Federal Claims, claiming NASA made a mistake in making its grant. Additionally, it has circulated documents to Capitol Hill personnel ridiculing SpaceX, asking what is Elon Musk frightened about? A little competition? The company claims that NASA granted SpaceX permission to forego many of its flight preparation assessments, which are gatherings intended to guarantee mission success. That indicates that SpaceX's plan did not adhere to NASA's demand for proposals, according to Megan Mitchell, Vice President of Government Relations of Blue Origin. It also created a fairly large safety issue, she continued, particularly considering that SpaceX would require repeated flights to replenish its rocket in order to reach the moon. Litigation-related procurement ties have implications. While the GAO was reviewing the matter, NASA was not allowed to work on the contract, and the space agency has agreed to stop as the federal court case is still pending. That would cause NASA's flagship human spaceflight program, which has been the kind of momentum not seen in years, to be further delayed. The suits have indeed infuriated SpaceX, which noted in a memo to officials on Capitol Hill that Blue Origin has not developed a single rocket or spacecraft capable of reaching orbit. Additionally, he tweeted a picture of a mock-up of Blue Origin's lunar lander that was deflated with the watermark, "Somehow this wasn't convincing." In an interview with The Post in April, Musk noted that Blue Origin's offer, which was $6 billion, was far more than twice as high as SpaceX. The conflict highlights how businesses have replaced countries in the fight for supremacy in space. At the start of the space age, the United States and the Soviet Union are being played by SpaceX, Amazon, and Blue Origin. NASA was motivated to send astronauts to the moon by this rivalry. Once it leaves the courtroom, this one might too. That's all for today. Tell us about your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and also enable the bell icon for more interesting content. Also, check out other videos on our channel.